I start over here on the left and I'm painting the parts of the sidewalk and then bringing that around to the road, and that really completes the illusion and brings the scene together. Painting snow in light is one of my favorite subjects to paint. There's just something nostalgic, something warm, something inviting about a snow scene, and even better when the light is interesting, when it's dramatic. So that's what we are gonna paint today. I'm gonna show you my process for painting this scene. I'm gonna go step by step, so by the end of this, whether this is your first snow painting or you've been doing it for years, there's some very practical, helpful tips within this video. If there's snow on the ground and the light is interesting, sometimes I'll just drive around and take pictures. I liked the yellow house. I liked the soft shadows on the snow. This was definitely something that I wanted to paint. I like to take the color away and take a look at it. This gives me an idea of how much brighter the house and the roof and these parts of the snow are than the sky that is behind it. And that is helpful to keep in mind. Most of the scenes that you are going to paint, the sky is going to be the lightest part of the scene, or one of the lightest parts of the scene. In snow scenes, that's where it's a little bit different. You have the light on the ground, the reflection off the snow, and here we have this house that the light is hitting directly. After I take a good look at the reference and I work out my composition, then I lay in my drawing. And I put this house up in this top right third, and I wanted to leave a lot of room for those sweeping shadows. Those are a big part of the scene. So I lay in the drawing, then I wet down the back and the front of my paper, and I lay it on my surface. Now I want to start with the lightest values and work my way up to the darkest values. But here I wanted to tone this house first. So I'm using a little bit of raw sienna with some cadmium yellow to get that color. And I lay that tone in. That way it can sit for a little bit before I get down there with the other light values. Now I need to paint the sky. And remember, in looking in the reference photo, we can tell the sky is pretty dark. I'm leaving this just as the white of the paper now. If I want to tone that later on, I can. Now I'm working my way down the scene. I've laid in the blue for the sky. I've used Cobalt Blue, a little bit of Cerulean Blue, and I went darker at the top of the sky. Now I'm laying in light values. This little house in the background, this building here, some light tan for that. That's some raw sienna and some neutral tint. And I'm laying in the value of the fence now. And you'll notice if some of that starts leaking into another part, like this isn't completely dry, starting to flow into that, I just take my finger and just smudge it a little bit, just kind of push it out of the way. While the sky is damp, it's a great opportunity to drop in some soft shapes for the trees. Now, a lot of this I'll have to go over again, but I'm building up the value of the background, and I wanted to leave some soft edges. Raw umber, some neutral tint, a little bit of raw sienna to come up with that mixture. So I've dropped in those soft trees into the sky now while things are damp. And now it's time to start painting the snow. Something to note about snow is it's often not just white. We think of snow as just being white. A lot of times the snow is reflecting the warm light or the blue of the sky. So when you are painting snow, take a look at it. Think about the colors. Think about the reflecting of the colors that's around it. You'll see a lot more color in the snow if you're looking for it. So here I laid in a simple light wash with some lavender, a little bit of cobalt blue, and then I wanted to drop in the shadows on the snow while it is still damp. I want soft shadows. That's another thing to pay attention to when we are studying snow scenes, but any scene really, is just the edges. Notice what edges are soft and what edges are more defined. It's a big thing you'll see when you're looking at shadows. The further away something is, the softer a shadow it'll cast on the ground. The closer up it is, the harder the line and the more contrast that there's going to be. So we have some trees that are casting shadows on the snow that are far away. They're nice soft shapes, and I wanted to drop those in now to get those soft shapes into place. So I jumped up there and I wanted to get that before things were drying. Now I'm going to do the same approach to the foreground. I'm going to drop things in First, I do a thin wash that re-wets the paper and sets some tone for the snow. Then I go back in with a thicker mixture of paint to drop in those shadows, to create those soft shadows. And everything is nice and damp and soft. I love getting those lost edges, especially here. I come in and we have the shadow of that pole that is pointing back to our main area of interest. I drop that in, and I like having a variety of edge too. So we have softer with a little more firm of an edge and more soft here. So after all that is done, dropped in, there's a little fire hydrant here. I dropped in some color for that. After all that's done, here is a look at the first wash. Now this is all the light within the scene. Now I let this dry. We'll come back in and we'll paint the middle value shape and get into some of the darks and details of the scene. So now I'm looking at this scene. I want to get into some of the detail. First thing I do, I want to paint this close-up tree here, and I'm using a rigger brush for that. Also here you'll see that if I want to do some dry brush, I'll pull in some scrap paper. I'll use actually the side of my brush. This is a size 12 Escoda Perla, and I will pull up some scrap paper and just make a few marks until I have the right consistency of paint and water on my brush, and then I'll go make those marks on the painting. Using dry brush is so much easier than going in and trying to paint every leaf, every stick. Just get the gist of the tree, and then you can use some dry brush to get the small bits of leaves and things. So from there, I go back in, I paint the shadow on the underside of these eaves of the house, and I'll get into the bushes in front of the tree, and already, things are starting to come together. Once we get a little bit of this in, then the light is starting to make more sense, and the shadow pointing back at the house from that tree, and the shadow on the side of the house. All right, now I need to go to this tree over here. There's another tree behind the fence. Again, I'm using the rigger brush, and one thing you want to do is branches that are going away from the tree, they always need to get thinner. So thinner at the top, thicker at the bottom. I know we all know that, but it's an easy thing to forget, especially when we're out here, trying to get those little details into a painting and we've been working and thinking. Don't forget that simple rule about trees. One thing I did here was I re-wet some of the background just to get some softness. And then I'm going back in with this brush and I'm going to create a little more stronger value to finish up those trees in the background. And once we go around the scene, it really does make a difference. See, now we have some middle values in the back, really starting to bring that light effect to life. Okay, I'm back with my rigger brush, adding some more detail to some of the trees. There was this fence, and I was debating whether to include this or not, but I thought it just added a little more feeling of finish to this area of the painting. It helped this part feel closer, like come forward to us, and it just broke up some of the monotony of that area of the painting, and a little bit more detail on the house. All right, this is one of my favorite things to do when painting snow scenes, is we have to remember the order of operation. So we laid in the light values, then I laid in some of the soft shadows over the top on the snow, and then on top of that, I come in and I want to lay in the darker parts of the road, the parts where there's not snow, where the cars have driven over it and removed some of that snow. When we look at that, it can feel very complicated to paint, but if we can break it down into these steps, just like any scene in watercolor, we are painting from light to dark, so we want to remember that here. And this is a really fun part of the process. I start over here on the left, and I'm just using some raw umber, some neutral tint, and I'm painting the parts of the sidewalk where there aren't snow, and then bringing that around to the road and adding that in, adding a few little lines, and that really completes the illusion and brings the scene together once we can get that in place. All right, here is a look at how the finished painting turned out. By taking your time, by looking at the values and thinking about your process from light to dark, you can paint a very compelling snow scene with believable light. So I hope that this look at my process is very helpful for you. And if you have questions about the way that I paint, about my approach, take a look at this free resource. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone. You could print it out. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.